My job is what they call the animation director, and what I have to do is take the storyboard or the comic book and all the situations that all the characters find themselves in and prepare it and get it ready for the animators, who are the artists who move and animate the characters and make them walk and talk and do all the things that we see in cartoons. We have 4 children, modern day children, who end up going into this magical big carnival or theme park, like a kind of a weird Disneyland. And when they go in, they meet this other girl who is a bit strange and a bit old-fashioned, and they don't know why, but they just enjoy the place so much that they have fun on all the different rides and everything. And it's the little girl of the modern day children that figures out something's not quite right, and something is not right about this park. She figures out that the old-fashioned girl is trying to keep them in the park. They end up going on all the rides in the park, roller coaster, all the weird, wonderful things like Hall of Mirrors, everything. And they just want to go home. But in order to get out, they have to play a game with the park, because it's the park that's the baddie, not the old-fashioned girl. She only wants friends. So we have a situation then where the children want to go home, and it becomes like a race against time. Obviously, you need a story. In this case, it was written by the director, who is a guy called Dean Taylor. We have to take that little story and we gave it to another writer who made it into a bigger story, like a book, which is called a script. The next step after that is what they call a storyboard. A director basically sits down with the script and he goes in and he has to draw the whole film in exactly like a comic book. And by doing that, he is planning out the look of the film, everything that the characters are, what they're going to walk like, talk like, move like, act like, think like, all that stuff. So the next step after that is what they call layout. Now, layout involves drawing the backgrounds and the characters and how they will finally appear on the screen.
Layout is responsible for the design of the background or stage which the characters are going to perform. And as supervisor, I have to take direction from the director or art director and make sure that I carry out those instructions in the drawings. It involves a lot of drawing, a lot of technical drawing, a lot of design work. The design will also work with the design of the characters and the overall artistic design that the picture is going towards. What we have to do is design the background so that the camera angle that the storyboard person wants is a full design, that when painted we will actually feel that this is the correct camera angle and that the style is perfect for what the art director wants.
Whatever you see on the screen, the characters, whatever, we have to bring them to life. You know, we create the movement and try and make it look as realistic as possible, or depending on what scene, if it's an action scene, whether they're running or walking or acting, we have to make the viewer believe that it's real. And there's basic principles we have to follow. Basic things like anticipation and squash and stretch. And
what do you mean by squash and stretch?
When you're animating, you have to make actions really broad. So an anticipation in boxing would be you bring the fist right back like this, and then you bring it forward, and then when it hits you, your head could be an example of squash and stretch, that when I hit you, your face would squash. See, it's different in a cartoon. And so
is it a fun job to do?
It's yeah, sure. I mean, what other job do you get to draw cartoons all day and get paid for it?
This is the first example of when the layout artist does a more detailed and finished drawing of the environment or the background. The next stage for this is going to be painted. For me, it's slightly different. So what I have to do is put a sheet over it like this, and by guessing where she is and seeing where she is with the light coming through, I have to go in and take this little rough scribble that the director drew and put in all the features. The idea in this scene is the girl is in heavy water and she's chasing a doll that's floating away from her, so she is holding onto a jungle vine. So I've drawn the first position. Now the next position, she comes a bit closer to us and she's still traveling across trying to grab the vine. So by moving it, by doing this, I can get, see where she moves to. and then I check it against the layout drawing to see how far forward she should be, and check the perspective, which is indicated by this. So then I draw it rough like this to begin with, just to give me an idea of the size of her head and arms. And then I get the final position where she's almost right up to the camera. It means she has to be drawn bigger. Now she's going to grab for the vine with this other arm. So what I do is I figure out roughly where that arm should be, using the sketch, maybe changing the direction of the head a little bit. There's the vine. So as you can see, I've only done the main parts, which are just the positions. She moves forward like this. I have to put in some more details. This is what we call posing, or character layout. And it just literally gets the scene ready for the animator. Now what the animator has to do is take my position drawings and do all the drawings in between. So that sets up a scene for the animator.
Cleanup is the process that happens after animation. We get scenes through from animation and they're in a very rough form, and there are a number of things we need to do. First of all, we need to put in all the in-between drawings that complete the action, and then we have to clean them up, which is basically going from a drawing like this, which we get in animation, and putting a very clean line on it. We use model sheets which define how exactly the character should look, and we can't really go away from that at all. So basically, if we have 40 people drawing the same character, they need to look the same all the time, and this makes sure that they do.
Well, what I do is the backgrounds, the illustrations or stage setting that works behind the animation. Makes the animation believable, whether it's on the surface of the planet Mars or as in this case, a swamp. And I follow the layout that Eddie has done, a paper layout like this, and we paint a full-size version of it. In the space of this movie, we probably have 800 different backgrounds, maybe 1,000 different backgrounds, and we work on maybe 2 of them every day, so there's a lot of variety, and we'll be working within different sequences each day. So we'll have too much variety to get bored or tedious.